Welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. In the ever-evolving world of podcasting, staying ahead of the curve is no small feat. But my next guest, who I consider a good friend of mine, he's the mastermind behind Poduty Live, and he's done just that by revolutionizing the podcast experience through live audience and interaction. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Welcome, Jeff Revilla.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I was like, hey, Wise, can I get on the show? And you're like, well, it's going to be about 7 months.
But we've done stuff in the between that and that time. We did the international podcast the weekend. Me, you, and Maria Daniels. We had a great time doing that. Then recently we appeared on David 3000's podcast. We didn't even know we were going to be there together at the same time. So
that was crazy.
Yeah, no, and
co-hosting.
Go ahead.
We've been co-hosting a show together. Me, you, and Maria, Rise and Outshine. It's going to be coming back, hopefully in April. We took a little hiatus here at the beginning of the year. I got really, really sick, and my wife had surgery, and Maria got crazy busy.
And I had surgery, and I was out for some time. So we'll get back to it. It's coming soon, very soon. But let's just jump right into it. So what inspired you to create Poduty Live, and how did that idea come to life?
Well, you knew me for 5 years, and we were doing virtual events together. And at some point, you probably heard me mention like this infinite seat theater idea. I'd been thinking about it for a couple years before we even met. I was like, I think that there's something here where, if you wanted to do events and you didn't want to have to go rent a ballroom at a hotel or, try to get theater space, there's got to be this middle ground where smaller creators and podcasters can get together and have like a club, almost like a comedy club. But because we're podcasters, different from comedians, we want the world to hear our material. So we need a place that we can broadcast, like a small TV station. And that's kind of where it came from. I was like, I think as podcasters, we want to entertain, but we also want to be in front of people. We want to share these ideas with people and get feedback, but all the while broadcast that to the world and have a nice tangible product at the end of the night where you have your podcast recorded already for you. It was done live, like so many of those great albums in the 80s, those heavy metal bands would tour arenas, but then they'd have a live album come out in the middle of the year. That's really what I think this next evolution of podcasting is. It's going to be these in-person interactions, these live interactions, and you're going to share them with the world in small spaces and small clubs. Like what I'm thinking about, what I'm building is the way that we're going to do that. It's that stepping stone. It's that next evolution of just having a good time podcasting with your friends and family and fans. It's just it's a way that this thing has to evolve.
Oh no, it makes sense because not everybody wants to. It's not like us where I have my home studio. You at first you was doing your stuff from home, and now you're doing it from the theater and everything. So not everybody wants to get all this equipment and everything. So you're kind of saving them time, and you're helping them along the way by just having a place where they can go and record.
Yeah, I mean, you're saving time, money. This is really a turnkey experience. If you came to me and said, hey, I have this idea for a podcast, I may not have an audience or a big draw. I say, hey, why don't you come down on a Monday or Tuesday? It's a slow night. Go up on stage. Let's work this out. Let's see how it plays on the stage. Let's see. You don't have to have any equipment. Don't bring your own equipment. I got microphones. I got cameras. I got speakers. I'm going to record it all for you. You can workshop it. Try different things, different angles, different camera angles, all these little things, you can suss out and figure out before you do any investment, any equipment. And that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is figuring out like, hey, what actually works on the stage? How do we adapt the show for the stage and in a live environment? And I'm giving you that opportunity. I'm not even charging you for that. My goal is to get you to a point where you want to perform on stage. Maybe you'll want to buy your own podcast equipment. Maybe you want to go home and record your own things. But here's an opportunity for you to just try it out. Just see if you even like it.
Definitely. So why do you believe live audience interaction is the future of podcasting?
The main thing that drives that decision is I look at the numbers, right? A lot of podcasters, maybe starts out as a hobby, but they always say like, "Oh, if I can make a little bit, a couple extra dollars, maybe I could just pay for this." Maybe 20, 60, $100 a month would be great. It would cover my expenses for hosting and maybe some small advertising, maybe even some promo gifts to give to my audience. And when you look at the numbers, this is from Buzzsprout. 95% of podcasters don't average 1,000 downloads per episode. And why is that significant? Is because a lot of ad rates are sold on 1,000 CPMs. Every 1,000, what's the cost per 1,000 downloads? And if most people, 95% aren't even getting 1,000, and we're saying a cost per 1,000 downloads is about $25. For you to get 1,000 downloads and make $25 seems like a lot of work, a lot of time and investment. But when you take that same model and you go to a stage experience like this, in person, in front of people, in front of your community, and you sell a $10 ticket and you get 4 people, the way my business model works is you get 50% of that. So if of the $40 you brought in ticket sales, 4 people brought you $20, the same amount that you would make with 1,000 downloads. So for most podcasters who aren't going to be giant Joe Rogans or Whitney Cummings or Burt Kreischer's, all these big name, the Smartless podcast, you're not going to get there the way that you want. You're going to have fun doing it. You're going to have fun producing a show and you're going to love doing it. But if you're looking for a way to monetize, nothing is going to get you closer to bringing in positive cash flow than doing live performances in front of live people. You'll think of 4 or maybe 10 people, 20 people are going to equal, easily what maybe 5 to 6,000 downloads of a podcast. And at that point, you're in the top 1%. So
Yeah.
you get 10, 20 people to come to your live show, you're going to get a nice stream of revenue coming in, and you get so much more from a live experience than you get from publishing on a Monday and then coming back 7 days later and looking at your download numbers. You get to see people in front of you in the audience and make eye contact. They get to see what you look like, because nobody ever knows what you look like from a podcast. And they get to shake your hand. They get to thank you. Like, "Hey man, that was the episode you did a couple weeks ago. I was in a bad place, and man, I cracked up the whole way home from work. Thank you. I really appreciate." You get feedback that you never would get even from social media. You don't get the one-on-one connections and those instant feedbacks when you hear laughter or boos. Sometimes you get heckled a little bit.
Yeah. So what are, because I know some of the biggest challenges, but what are some of the biggest challenges podcasters face today, and how does Poduty Live help solve them?
Well, for me, I'm doing 2 things. I'm building this on 2 fronts. One, I have to train the public, like, hey, this is kind of a new form of entertainment. Most of you think about podcasting as, oh, that's something I do on my morning commute or while I'm working out. I just put my earbuds in and I'm off, and it's just this one-on-one connection. So I'm trying to teach the public that just like you go to a comedy club to see a comedian, or a bar to see a band, or a venue to see a band, well, there's going to be places like this that are dedicated for you to go watch podcasting, see it made live, see the interaction with the hosts and the guests. And so I'm trying to build up the public. So that's a challenge for a business model like this. But also, look at you and I. We're both in our home studios. We
Yeah.
have a setup that we're comfortable with. I can walk in. I literally got home 5 minutes before we started recording this. I turned my lights on. I made one little adjustment, and we were ready to record. So as a podcaster, I'm very comfortable in this environment. Coming home in my home studio, I know my settings. I played with them for months, and I'm always tinkering with them, but they're ready to go. For a lot of podcasters, getting outside of that environment, going to an unknown stage, an unknown venue where you don't have any control over, all the sound output. You have some control, but that's an experience, a challenge that I'm trying to overcome too, and also trying to show podcasters there's other ways to record your show. So I'm building this up on the public side, I'm building it up on the podcaster side, and hopefully we get enough on both sides that they come together and meet at the theater.
And I kind of got to experience it firsthand last year. It was my first real stage, and I got to do it at Poduty Live, and it was a great experience. My wife actually got to see me perform my show ever for the first time ever, and she had a great time. She's like she's like she tells everybody when we talk. She talks about our Pittsburgh trip and everything,
Oh, wow.
and so the great time she had there, and it was her first time actually being on a show, which was your show. She was a guest on your show, so we had a good time.
Yeah, and and you got to see the technology all
Yeah,
work, and it worked pretty seamlessly, luckily for you don't always get
for
a
the most
great.
part, yes, we
Yeah.
had no, we didn't have no technical difficulties and nothing like that. And we had a great time. Me, you, Maria. We got to work on our on our stage presence, because that's something that being on stage is something that I had never done before. So that was for me a learning experience, and it was my first time being in a public space like that, and being able to step out of my comfort zone, which is my studio,
Yeah.
and going on stage and doing and hosting the event the whole weekend.
Yeah, and when you're on stage, I say, think of the stage like a portal, really, because Maria and I, we were sitting there on stage, and we might pull a guest in from New York or California or Utah, and now we're talking to each other, but we're talking to this guest. People are leaving comments from all over the place, so there's this other area of interaction that starts to happen when you're broadcasting, not just to an audience you, but to an audience in the world, and you're all connected. We're all connected through this one common experience, and it's really cool to see, like, all of a sudden you just pop up a surprise guest, and it's Phil Better from Canada. Like, where'd he come from? And you get to see, like, we're all interacting all at one time on one stage with different people, and it just the seeing it when you get to see it firsthand, it's so much different than just talking about it.
Much more, the feeling is much more different from like when I record here at home. The energy is so much great. It's to me was so much greater, because having you around and having Maria and then having the guests that we had, and then the kids being around and doing their thing, and then of course the engineer in her spot doing what she does, and then my wife sitting there. It was just like, oh, this is different. This is different. You can see this is different, and you can see that. I could imagine people sitting down and being able to interact with people sitting sitting down in the stage area, and I could envision just what they would questions that they would have and stuff like that. So it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, one of the cool things too, every ticket includes the live stream. So whether you're virtual, watching at home, or in the theater, you can actually pull up the show in real time on your phone in the audience, and there's a bar or restaurant. If we take a break, or maybe a show comes on, maybe you're not too crazy about it, you want to go next door, get some fried mushrooms and a beer, you can walk next door watching the show. It's completely portable. You can go next door, grab a snack, grab a drink, come on back in, and not miss a single moment of the show. So that connectivity, that portability, that transfers to the audience too. They get to be immersed in the situation. They could even be in the audience leaving comments for us, or we can even pass the mic to them, and they could get on camera and ask a question as well.
Definitely. So for me, I know what was the benefit for me of integrating live elements into my show, like going live. Like we're live right now, and when I first started, I wasn't live. How can new podcasters benefit from integrating live elements into their show? Because I know how it benefited me. It was more of the interaction. I love the fact when people come and they leave comments, and they can ask questions of my guests. To me, that was a big key into why I started going live.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things you learn from hosting, and you've done hundreds of shows at this point,
Yeah,
is hosting is a muscle that you strengthen through repetition, just like bodybuilders, they lift weights to get definition. Well, when you podcast host and you do it over and over again, you learn to talk and just speak and continue talking without thinking about what you're saying because you've practiced this so many times. The repetition just keeps going on and on and on. And you can do this because of that practicing. So, learning and adding live stream, that's a skill you can take anywhere because you learn a couple things. One, if you're editing your own podcast, which 90% of you are at the
At the
start,
beginning, yeah.
you're sick and tired by episode 10 of hearing your uhs and and what, and then you're interrupting the guest. You start to hear all these things happening that annoy you when you edit the show because you have to, when you edit, you hear yourself 30, 40 times before you get through the episode. And those little things that you learn from editing that you're sick of taking out and clipping out, you start to not say those on stage. So getting on stage makes you a better speaker, a better performer. You clean up your act a lot. You tend to slow down when you need when to emphasize things. You speed up a little bit if it's getting important, and you learn like what works on camera, what doesn't, and what will make my editing job a lot easier. So I don't want to take out ums and uhs and or sometimes some people like to click their pen the whole time while they're on the show. And those are things that you'll learn that you don't want to clean up and edit. But you
Yeah.
also learn how to entertain too, but you'll learn how to keep a show moving. You'll learn that, okay, this is lagging. We need to get to the next segment as soon as possible. And you'll make those transitions and those segues, and you'll keep the everything going.
What what are some of the unexpected lessons you've learned building a live podcast venue?
Yeah, I mean, like, when we do a virtual show, Wise and I, like, we just did that one in September you were talking about. We announced that, and we filled it up in about 3 days. We had enough podcasters reaching out that wanted to do, we needed 24 podcasters, we found them in, like, 3 days. It
Yeah.
was so easy. In the real world, when you're not pulling from a talent from around the globe, I'm just pulling from people in Pittsburgh. It is a struggle. Like, you find a couple people here and there, but a big struggle is, finding and developing the local talent for the stage. Now, we've been working at this for 9, 10 months now, and we're getting to the point where we have local talent coming up now. We have people who are comfortable getting on the stage. But that was one of the biggest challenges of opening a thing like this is I grotesquely underestimated the local podcasting audience and the podcast audience who was ready to go to a live stage.
Yeah. Oh, it was when I went to visit you. You was teaching a class when I arrived, and you had 2 students still there. One was your aunt, right?
Yeah, yeah, Aunt Bean.
Yeah, and another gentleman there, and but they were older, and to see them interested in podcasting just shows you like where podcasting is right now, where people much older than us, and then our age generation, and then all younger generation now doing what they're doing podcast. It's a big it's a big, I don't know, big I don't know how to say it, but just the impact it has from one age group to another, and how many people are listening to podcasts and actually interested in doing podcasts is just amazing.
Yeah, you see that anything from professional people who have master degrees and doctorates and real estate agents, or those you see people who want to share their expertise, maybe in the older generation. Then you see me, I'm just doing like nonsense and having fun with trivia shows and Star Search like shows and just I'm having fun. Like, I'm in the middle of my life, like middle age, and I'm just screwing around. I got some free time. The kids are growing up, and I want to have fun and produce things to give to the world, like, so that other people can watch them and smile and laugh. And then you have like the younger kids who are, I think, they're more towards entertainment, and they're a
Yeah.
lot towards development too. So you see, like, okay, maybe I don't have the skill sets yet, but I want to learn, and I want to take on new challenges and learn new things and experience the world. So all these things work together. Like, all three of those age groups can still get together on a podcast and share ideas and concepts and laughter and just have a good time. But it spans almost every age. You'll find people podcasting.
Yeah. So how does live podcasting change the relationships between hosts and the audience?
Yeah, I touched on this a little bit. It's the things you get from a live performance, you just don't get looking at your download numbers because
Yeah, no. For
most podcasters, I got my 7-day downloads. Are they going
Yeah.
up or down? Like I got 500 in the first 7 days. Am I going to get 550 in the next week, or am I going to get 450? And that's kind of all you know is who's downloading, how many are downloading the show. But when you invite people to come to the audience and sit in front of you, one, I always joke like you in all the podcasts you've ever listened to, if you don't know what they look like and you tried to guess what they look like from the sound of their voice, I guarantee you are 0 out of 100. You've never been able to tell what somebody looks like from their voice. So when they sit in front of you, now that thing that they've been listening to comes to life. Now they can see how the words come out of your mouth. They can see how you interact with people. They see you as a person. That changes that relationship instantly. And then as the host, you're watching them. They're going to clap or laugh and give you feedback, ask questions. They're going to, at the end, they stick around for a Q&A or a meet and greet and that thank you. And man, I really enjoyed the show. I'm so glad you put this together. That was a great interview. That your guest was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. You never get that from a download number. You'll never know how you're impacting people or if you're if people just enjoying your content, you have no clue. You just know that these numbers come in every 7 days.
and and you were talking about download rates and stuff like that, but this gives you a different opportunity, like you said, to get different sponsorships, like especially within a local community and stuff like that, where if you build it enough, you can go to local businesses and help promote hey, listen, you can run ads here on we're running a show every Tuesday and Wednesday. You run your ads during the show or whatever it is, and you'd be like, it's different way of you getting monetized.
Yeah, we don't even talk about all the different opportunities.
Yeah.
You could sell sponsorships. I even do stage naming rights. If anybody's ever interested in that, I'll sell you the name of the stage, like they do with arenas and ballparks.
Baseballs, yeah,
Yeah,
ballparks.
yeah. The Poduty Live Subway sandwich stage at downtown Tarentum. But I have a merchandise area that I let podcasters, if they have hats and shirts and buttons and stickers, I have a no merch fee zone. So like they can set up, they have a place behind the counter. They can hang up their t-shirts and hats. And if they want to sell some extra product, that's great. Like that's another way to monetize your show. We do BYOB tickets sometimes too. So if you want to, let your guests bring in some adult beverages of choice, they can do that. And that just slowly teases up that ticket price.
Yeah.
You can do ads on the tickets. You can do little brochures, little pamphlets that go with it. There's different ways of teasing up. You can do limited edition t-shirts. So maybe your ticket price includes only one of 20 t-shirts that I'm making. You get one of these t-shirts as part of your ticket price. So there's all kinds of different ways you can start doing it. You can do your pre, mid, and post roll ads if you want.
Mhm.
Sell advertising in the show for the live, and even sell a different package for the audio version that you'll release as your MP3 file.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to really not just relying on being monetized through ads on your shows. There's other ways to do it. And I've learned that because of the skills I've been able to develop from podcasting, from having to edit, learning how to edit video, audio, logo design, different things. I've been able to, hey, I'll edit someone's show here, or I'll do someone's show here, or help someone produce a show, and make money that way.
Yeah. The amount of skills that you don't even realize, you're going from this. You have some sort of idea, and then you get it into some sort of form. Then you create it, make it a real thing. Then you got to edit it, right? There's the images that goes with it. Like you have a nice background that you designed. You're starting to crop you're going to download each of our videos as a separate. Now you can do content. You could stack these videos and do vertical content. You create these assets that are reusable over and over again, and you learn these skills to produce these assets because you the first time you do it, you're gonna be like, well, there's a lot of stuff to do here, but you're gonna develop systems,
Yeah.
you're gonna develop skills, your skill set's gonna get better over time, and all these things that you're doing, you're thinking, I gotta do all these things, they become easier and easier, and you become more and more streamlined. And a year from now, you look back at where you started and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I recorded an hour episode, I edited it, I made 4 shorts from it, I got some clips that I'm using for screenshots, and I put some quotes on it. I got like 15 pieces of content for like, 3 to 4 hours of work." You never would have done that on episode 1, but by the time you've done it for a year and you got 50 episodes under your belt, these skills become, easier to manage, and your time becomes better managed, and you get faster at the skills that you're developing.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because you've helped me in the process of how I do my show because of the fact that you introduced me to ChatGPT. I still remember it to the day when you sent me, "Oh, listen, you gotta check this out," and you did the Tribe Called Quest thing and everything, and I'm like,
We never did that. We should do
"No,
that show sometime.
we didn't, yeah, we should." But that helped me change my show. It really helped me with how I really build the system and structure it, and it's helped me generate questions. It's helped me with not spending so much time on creating titles and creating descriptions and all these different things that now I have a system in place. Like, this is what I do with this is how I do this. And now, because of adding that part of the show, it's helped me really streamline, like, where I can prepare a show in half an hour. Like, have a show built, ready to go with title, everything, topic, everything within a half an hour.
Yeah, the AI tools really they're like your superpower, right? Like, you rely on AI not for the ideas or the creation, but here's the ideas that I have.
Mhm.
How can I augment this a little bit, or what else can I squeeze out of this? What angle am I missing? And an AI might give you 10 more angles that you could approach this, or 10 different ways to approach it. And tools like ChatGPT, obviously, Cast Magic is another great one that just
Mhm.
spits out, and the summaries that you can generate from Cast Magic are even incredible from the MP3 file.
Not only summaries, it helps create blogs.
Yeah.
So now I've added a blog aspect to my website for my podcast, and so it helps with the blog. It helps me with timestamps. It helps me with so many different things that now I don't have to spend this time cutting it up and getting the timestamp. It does it automatically for me. So I'm able to just upload it. When I upload my audio, I'm just able to just upload the time and a title for that section. And now things that would take me 2-3 hours, 4 hours sometimes, like I said, I'm done in half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I cheat. I use it for my show notes. I love like,
So do I.
yeah, that's my favorite part, to use like AI tools for, like, hey, here's all the stuff I recorded. Pretend you're a news reporter, and you're gonna publish a story on this show. Give me a rundown of what happened. And it boom, bang, 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 bang. You have real nice show notes that's presented to you like a newspaper or magazine style format, and you're good to go. And those little tools that you learn, that you plug into your system, they make you look like you have a team of 10 people working behind you.
Mhm. It does. And in all reality, it's just you.
Yeah.
Mm. What's been the most rewarding part of launching Poduty Live?
Man, I tell you, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, skateboarding, punk rock, early hip hop. Like, to me, like, community was such a part of that
Mhm.
culture. Like, your value was, your word is important, like what you say and what you did was important. But like in skateboarding, it was I couldn't say like, "Oh, I'm a great skateboarder," but I could go out to the streets or to the park and skate, and then people would recognize the talent that I had, and that was also adding value to the skateboard community, and that's kind of like how your credibility grew, and this has given me the same type of feeling. People are coming in and like, "What do you mean you don't charge?" I'm like, "Well, I don't charge you up front, but you and I will work together. We'll produce a show that the public likes, and we'll sell tickets and we'll split the tickets." So I'm able to give them this experience, let them produce it and run with it and create something on the stage. And at the end of it, we've given something to the public, you've given something back to the world, and then we both share in like what we created. So that like that feeling of being young and skateboarding again, like I'm turning 50 in a year. So I just bought a skateboard last weekend. Don't tell my wife. Uh I'm gonna be riding again. But that feeling of creating and giving back and the community is appreciating the value that you're bringing. That's kind of what I'm getting out of. That's kind of been the most rewarding thing that I really didn't expect. I kind of walked into this as a business. I'm gonna do events and production but I've also applied all those years of other things that I've done with through the skateboarding and punk rock and hip hop, and those all are coming out now, and the public seeing it and enjoying. I think people like what I do, and they like me. I'm a bubbly guy, and they like hanging out, and they're seeing like what a business could be like. A business doesn't have to be this cutthroat, penny pinching. I'm going to lay off 100 people so I can make a profit and get a bonus. A business can be something that everybody shares in the rewards.
And that's why the connections we've made, the relationships we built, because you start surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Like me and you believe in a lot of the same stuff. We believe in helping each other, boost each other up, and celebrate each other, and always support, and like you always supporting me, I'm always supporting you. And when Maria's always supporting what we do, we support what Maria do. And just we've been able to build a little community of podcasters that are very supportive of each other and help boost each other up.
Yeah, yeah, that's like the gift that you don't expect. That like we all just like doing this too. Like
Mhm.
I take more calls where I'm just talking to people for half an hour about starting a podcast, and we're not even talking about like getting them to the stage. I would be doing that anyway, whether or
Yeah.
not I had this theater. I just sharing this ability for somebody to be their in charge of their own thing, their own production, to be their own media mogul. That's so important that you have that kind of power, even in like some of the environment that you might think we live in, or some of the apps that are starting to control our lives through our phone, or some of these walled gardens. You still have this little pocket of the internet that nobody can take away your RSS feed. Nobody can take away the podcast you're producing. It's all you. You own it, control it, and you're sharing it with the world.
Yeah. I, I've I love this space, like being able to um just the relationships and the friendships. Like I tell people that I've made lifelong friends with people that I haven't really even gotten to hang out with. Like that was the first September was the first time we got to meet face to face in 5 years.
Yeah, it was so
And
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we went out, me, my wife, your two daughters, and your wife, and we went out to eat, and we just had spent time and got to know each other, and it was just so much fun being able to finally get together and hang out, because we've done so many events together virtually. To actually finally get to do it live was just like, oh man, this is wonderful, being able to experience this and go and travel to Pittsburgh and visit somewhere I've never been before. It was so much. It was such a great experience, and I'm grateful for these relationships and these friendships.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The only complaint I had about that weekend is, you guys told my girls that there were, like, purple glitter skulls over at Target, and I had to go over after dinner. It's cost me, like, $80 in glitter skulls for Halloween.
Oh, oh yeah, yes, because I think my wife bought one. She
Yeah.
picked something up.
Like, "Check these out." Like, "Oh, man, don't tell them this." We had a great time, and it was it even though, like, we've seen each other on camera for 5 years, we've done different events in Indie Pods United and Women of Indie Pods and stuff with Sarah Bradford and Maria.
Yeah.
Like when you turned the corner into the theater, it was so surreal seeing you. Like, I'm like, why is this actually here? It was the craziest, like, weird feeling. Like, like it's in real life now. Like, it's a
Yeah.
something that's not just a virtual event, talking torso from here up. I can now see why is like tip to toe. Like you were standing right there in the theater.
Oh well, next time you see me, it'll be a different wise. I've lost quite a few pounds.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, yes. And so when I went to see you, I was probably 366 pounds around there. As of today, I am 288 pounds.
Dang, you're gonna be passing me. I'm like 270. Oh boy. All right. We're gonna have a little competition.
So yeah, no, it is. I feel so much better not carrying that extra body on top of me.
Yeah, I mean, you almost lost like a teenager.
Yeah, whole full person.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's really good.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so it's been so it's like when you ask and you be a guest, I'm like, why are you asking to be a guest? You know you can always be a guest. It's not a problem. And then you went and signed up. I was gonna give you a link so we could record sooner, but you're like, oh, okay, you wanna wait like everyone. Okay.
I know, but what else would we have talked? That was a fun little joke we had for a couple months there.
Yeah, it was.
I can't even get booked on Wise's show.
So where do you see podcasting evolving over the next 5 years? Do you see more theaters popping up in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I want people to copy this business model. I want to go from, we're in Pittsburgh. Maybe one of these pops up in Cleveland or Baltimore or Cincinnati. And, as a small podcaster, maybe you make a couple $100 in Pittsburgh, a couple $100 in Cleveland and Cincinnati and Baltimore. And now all of a sudden you can start doing this as a tour, like bands do, like comedians do, and go around the places, meet different people, meet new fans, do new types of entertainment in front of people, and just have a good time. I do think this is going to be something that you're going to see.
The podcasting theater circuit, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you plug in. Like once you do a good show in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh guy is going to tell the Cleveland guy and the Cincinnati girl, who we know will be Maria. So, and they'll start to plug in their shows into the network, and you can do a weekend tour, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in 3 cities, and go back on Monday to work and pout a little bit because you had such a great weekend.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I can see us open over here on this side of the state, because I'm on completely other side of the state from you. we're both in the same state of Pennsylvania, but I'm on the northeast side of Pennsylvania.
But only your side of the state has pretzel cones at their ice cream shops.
Yes, yes, and I forgot where you said it was at, but
somebody wrote in and like they researched it and found it for us.
Yes, they did. Yeah, someone did find it.
Go back through the historical record.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about podcasting in general? Because I know when I first started, what was some of my misconceptions?
Yeah, I think people think that you publish a show and the money starts rolling in, that you have to start shoveling ones under your mattress because there's just so much money in podcasting. And you look at the stats, 95% of people aren't going to get 1,000 downloads an episode. So you got to be able to do this for some other reason other than money. Yes, you can get a show that clicks. Yes, you can build an audience. Yes, you can get into advertising and put together bundles and packages of, ads on your website and newsletters. And, you can do all those things. But the misconception is you're just going to turn this on and thousands and thousands of people are going to flock to your podcast. It takes work. It takes repetition. It takes consistency. It takes being able to perform on camera in front of a microphone. And it just takes time. And, you don't just turn it on and it's not like a Ron Popeil Showtime rotisserie Showtime rotisserie oven where you set it and forget it. I don't know if anybody gets that.
This year I probably surpass over. I'll go over 40,000 downloads, but it's taking me work to even build it. Like even within the last 2 years, 3 years. Because when I first started, my first year, if I had 500 downloads, that was a lot. It's taking me building up my audience to the point where I'm almost at 40,000 downloads, and that's a big accomplishment for me. Me being where I'm from, this wasn't my lane. Like podcasting wasn't supposed to be my lane, and here I am.
Yeah, you think about it. Is there 40,000 people near you that you're reaching an audience that you couldn't reach just in your hometown? You're getting outside of that area, and it's not, when your show gets 500, 1,000 downloads for an episode, you're like, okay, wait a second, that's like a school auditorium. Like, could I fill a school auditorium? No, but I am, virtually through these digital
Yeah.
downloads. That's pretty impressive. Every time I do a show, my show is getting the same amount of downloads that would fill my high school auditorium. That's pretty awesome. Like, I'm way into that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, what are some creative ways podcasters can make their live show interactive? Like with you have the game show, and I am a six-time champ.
It's
Am I
official.
6 times? Is it 5 times or 6 times? I don't know. I've won so many times.
Yeah. Almost as many as Brady. We know about that.
Yeah, almost. Yes, I'm almost tied with Brady.
Yes, there are different ways. Obviously, you're using a great platform here with StreamYard. The chats are interactive, right? People can click like, they can do different things. I use a product called Mentimeter.
Yes.
It's fully interactive. There's no software to download for your guests, and you give them a quick code, they can pull it up on their phone. Like I did a slide presentation over the weekend, and some of the slides had interactive questions, and then they could see the slides right on their phone. So they're watching me present. They're going through my questions, like why did you start podcasting? How far along are you on your journey? And while they're answering on their phone, it's showing the answers up on the stage. So the audience is seeing how the rest of the audience answer. They're seeing their answers, and you can see, and all this stuff becomes part of the show. So there's different ways to engage people, and Menti is a great tool. They sell an annual version of it. It comes down to like $30 a month, but every show could have some level of interactivity. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's this just the video aspect of it has grown in the last 2-3 years to where now we have home studios like this because of StreamYard and because of Restream and because of Riverside and all these other platforms where you can produce your own shows like how we're doing right now from the comfort of your own home. It just goes to show you the advancement of technology, and where even with StreamYard, I'm able to host my own webinars.
Yeah, I mean the prices come down. If you think about what we're really doing is no different than like a television studio, right?
Mhm.
You have a newscaster at a desk, you have somebody with a camera recording. Your camera, my camera, just mounted on top of my monitor, and I'm able to you too are able to just broadcast to the world,
Yeah.
which is incredible. That's what would have cost millions and millions of dollars 20, 30 years ago to start a television station. Now you can do that in your home. I got a green screen. I can show you here's kind of what the studio looks
It
like
looks like,
behind me.
yep.
And then, all these things just you can do in your house. you, you really have a television studio in your house when you have the right tools, StreamYard and a camera. You're not much different than your local news station.
Yeah. That's definitely true. How we kind of we touched on how podcasting enhances the storytelling aspect of everything for both the listeners and the host. it really is amazing being able to like that interaction. Even now with here live, like I said, the reason I decided to go live was the interaction because when people interact now, it's also their show. They've become a part of the show, so now it's their show as well. So being able to have that aspect of it to me was like that's what I want. I want them to feel like yes, it's we're up here talking, but if they want to interact and they want to be a part of the show, they can.
Yeah, that interactivity, that sends all those signals, to Facebook, "Hey, there's a show happening right now. There's some people interacting, they're hitting the like, they're leaving comments, they're engaging with each other." Like, those are signals that say, "Hey, this is a valuable show. This show offers some entertainment to our users. Let's share that a little bit more. Let's bump that up a little bit more in the algorithm and show people who watch live shows, here's a live show that you might like as well." So all that engagement, encourage everybody to leave comments, encourage everybody to share. Those things make a big difference during a live show that you're streaming.
Yeah, definitely. How because we haven't touched on your background, but how has your background in digital marketing influenced the way you approach podcasting?
Um, I used to joke around that, I say, what do chefs eat? Maybe they work at a 2 or 3-star Michelin restaurant. And what do they eat when they get off work? You think they're eating the food from the restaurant? No, they're tired and they get like a Big Mac and some fries. They don't usually make fine dining food at home, or nurses whenever they take a break or go out on lunch. You typically see them outside smoking. Like, even though they're preaching healthy things, they need a break from the stress and they tend
Yeah.
to smoke. For me, I started I got heavily involved in digital marketing in the early 2000s. I did an online retail shop for skateboarding. I had a skateboard mail order company. We shipped boards all over the world, and during that time, I learned all these skills about buying AdWords and running a social network. And back then, we had message boards. We had video. I did some of my first videos on YouTube in 2007, and all these little skills kind of like just became part of me. Like, you kind of get addicted to digital marketing. You get addicted to the testing and making changes and publishing them, and then seeing how those changes affect the performance, and all those little things. This get not in you, but they're part of you. And digital marketing is as much a part of me as I would say I was a skateboarder 20 years ago. It becomes what I want to create, and I want to be able to do something and be in control of it, and have the power to manipulate and control and change and twist and pivot if I have to. And that it's for me, it's a great career because I get that freedom to maybe be wrong. Sometimes we test things out in marketing. Sometimes they don't work at all, and you're like, okay, what went wrong on this? And then you retool it, put it back up, and see if that's the fix to make it. And so, kind of like this idea of solving problems and trying to get the most amount of performance out of something, that becomes my hobby, too. So, like, while I'm doing digital marketing all day, I still want to create and produce something at night. Is it the same type of thing? No, I'm not buying as many AdWords for the theater, but I'm doing it. I'm having a different creative outlook, or different creative outlet than I would have just working a 9 to 5 or being a consultant all the time for somebody. I don't know if that was even a great answer. Yeah.
All right. What advice would you give someone who is hesitant about starting a podcast?
I'll just do it. I mean, the best advice I always give podcasters is it comes from Bon Jovi. So if you are going to start a podcast, Bon Jovi always said, "Don't bore us, get to the chorus." And he would refer to his most popular songs always started with the chorus. So he knew that there was something to giving the people what they wanted. If you say you're going to do a podcast, maybe it's a sports podcast, and you spend the first 20 minutes talking about your grocery store trip, there's a disconnect between what you're
In
telling
the audience, yeah.
the audience and what you're delivering. So give the audience what they came for. They read your description, they read your title, they looked at your thumbnail and they decide to listen to one of your episodes, and then you talked about eggs and cereal and oatmeal when they came there to hear about the Pittsburgh Pirates 2025 pennant run.
All right, Jeff, it's come sort of to that time where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away and let them know where they can find Poduty Live, everything.
Well, it's super easy. Just go to poduty.com, poduty.com. You can connect directly with me. You can email me, jeff@poduty.com, poduty. We have our events coming up, a lot of events on that calendar. So check out, we have magicians and ghost stories and trivia and a bunch of other shows coming up. Check it out, poduty.com, poduty.com.
Awesome. But don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show, and we're gonna chat. I gotta chat with you after the show, obviously. But don't leave just yet.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure's on mine, brother. You know, you're always welcome. All right, everybody. This episode with Jeff Revilla is a must listen for all you podcasters and content creators and all you digital entrepreneurs out there who want to stay ahead of the game, because Jeff is definitely ahead of the game. He's really helped, even with something he showed me yesterday that I used today. So Jeff is definitely ahead of his time, and check out all of his great content. He's got so much stuff. So definitely go to poduty.com. You're really gonna get so much content and so much amazing stuff from Jeff. So definitely check him out. So don't miss this conversation. Tune in later on. If you don't catch the live stream, catch the replay, subscribe, hit the notification bell. As always, big shout out to my real wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Shout out to the boss lady, love you. And to all the essential workers out there, have a great rest of your day, and peace out.